back to another episode of Rail Industry Connected. I'm Dan Clark, and thank you for joining us. As part of our new series, Rail Industry Connected is going behind the scenes with some of the SMEs part of the latest cohort of the BCIMO Clean Futures Programme, which focuses on supporting businesses to bring innovation into a live railway environment from a sustainability perspective. Today we speak to Naim Kapadia, Head of Engineering at Grinsty Rail. Grinsty has made its mission to meet environmental and health challenges head-on with innovative solutions designed to create cleaner, safer and more efficient railway journeys. BCIMO provided Grinsty an opportunity to showcase its PCM 1000 air quality monitoring system and demonstrate its transformative potential to improve passenger experience and drive sustainability. Naim, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dan, for having me.
So, as we mentioned, you were part of the BCIMO Clean Futures Programme, but we'll go just before that. What are you aiming to do with what you have, and how did the concept become a reality in the first place?
So, initially, Grinsty is dedicated to driving innovation in the rail and transportation sector. Now, with a strong focus that we have enhancing passenger experience and improving operation efficiency, our aim is to develop a cutting-edge solution that helps industry to tackle key challenges such as air quality monitoring. The concept behind Grinsty became a reality through a combination of industry expertise and collaboration. Now, we recognise the growing need for smarter data-driven solutions, particularly for the area of environmental monitoring. Our flagship product, the PCM 1000 in particular, was born out of this vision. It is designed to track critical air quality metrics like the PM 2.5, CO2, humidity, temperature, and the aim is to create healthier travel environments. So ultimately, Grinsty is about bridging the gap between traditional rail systems and modern smart technology, making transport safer, greener, and more efficient.
Air quality has been an issue on the railway for many years. It's been well documented, especially if you think about sitting in some stuffy carriages over many years. Has been quite the bane of many a complaint from rail passengers. How are you aiming to overcome the air quality challenge with Grinsty?
So one of the initiatives that came across to us, and obviously transport that produces a lot of hazardous pollutants. In particular, the Eller's Law, for example, that after a 9-year-old girl who died due to poor air quality, it became apparent that there's something in the air that obviously is causing this issue. Now, whether it's inside the train or the outside of the train, as a solution provider, people travel day in, day out. And we felt that having something that can monitor, at least, do something about it in the train would be ideal. And that's where I think where the thing sort of came across to us.
So you're part of the Clean Futures Programme. How have you found that from an SME perspective, and how has it helped you bring this product to market?
So being part of the Clean Future Programme, I think it has been an incredible experience for us as an SME. To be honest, from the very start, it provided us with an access to industry experts, mentors, and also networking opportunities that we wouldn't have had otherwise. Now, one of the biggest challenges for SMEs like ours is gaining visibility and credibility in the market.
Absolutely.
And this program really helped us bridge that gap. Now, from a practical perspective, the structured support to help us to refine our PCM 1000 unit to ensure that we met industry needs and aligned with the growing demand for particular sustainability, data-driven solutions in rail. So one of our standout benefit was the collaboration aspect, engaging with other SMEs, key players in the transport sector, and potential partners created a strong ecosystem where we could share insights, tackle a challenge together, and develop a strategic relationship.
And you're talking there about actually opening doors that potentially might not have been available before. You've had an opportunity to demonstrate the value of your system to the industry. What was that experience like?
It was exciting and insightful. Now, it's one of those things to develop a product internally by showcasing to key stakeholders and having their feedback was a real interest in our solution. And obviously, we've taken things on board, and it has been invaluable. Now, our PCM 1000 air quality monitoring system has gained significant attention, particularly as the industry focused more on passenger well-being and environmental impact. Now, the feedback we've received has been incredibly positive. Now we've had discussion around potential collaboration, trials, integrations, and said again, particularly in the rail system, it is clear that industry is looking for data-driven, sustainable solutions, and I think we are proud to be at the forefront of that movement.
And that's a really valid point that you pick up on there, especially the data is absolutely essential from an air quality point of view as well. But I think we're still quite traditional in a lot of ways in that sometimes we like to see and feel it as well as having the data available. How have you tackled that point? Getting it in front of people and kind of letting them see it for themselves and how it works beyond the data.
I think the way we've done it, obviously, on the demonstration day, particularly, when we demoed the unit, it was just very simple. Showed them the unit on the tram T69. We had a large 32-inch screen, and literally it was pushing data. And what was interesting is as the guys, the visitors and the attenders came on board on the train, we saw spikes on CO2 and the PM2.5, and that showed quite clearly that if you're getting onto a train, when there's a lot of you getting onto the train, you see these things happening, but obviously you don't see it in real life. But when you've got the dashboard, it really clearly shows you that these spikes are happening on a regular basis.
It pricks your ears up a bit, doesn't it, as well, when you actually see the data there in front of your eyes. It's quite scary. And you think when trains are quite full as they are, that's a lot of CO2 going into the air. It can impact it quite a bit. So yeah, obviously beyond that and demonstrating, and you've got the data side and you've got the visibility point of view from the demo day that you've just described there. But what are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome throughout the process?
I think throughout the process, I think we've encountered several challenges, to be honest. But each one has a valuable learning experience from it. One of the biggest challenges, I think, is navigating the complexity of the rail industry. The sector is highly regulated. Getting new technologies adopted requires extensive testing, certification, alignment. And we've been in this sort of, this sector for decades, to be honest, and we've gone through it. But it really means a lot to them, and obviously to get those challenges across and those ideas across, particularly new technologies, it's not easy. But that's just one of the major challenges. Another challenge, I think, securing funding and investments to move, from concept to full scale deployment. Particularly SME competing with larger, more established companies can be difficult. But like Clean Future Programme, as an instrumental providing support, exposure, and access to those decision makers, it's been quite useful from that perspective. Finally, getting buy-in from the industry has been a challenge, as innovation in rail can sometimes be slow to adopt. However, by actively engaging with operators, demonstrating, as we did in real time, air quality monitoring could be, one of the solutions for net zero goals. And to be honest, we've been able to generate a strong interest in, meaningful conversation about future deployments, and that's, particularly the sustainability space for sure. So yeah, I think those are the sort of challenges I think are there.
And having a helping hand obviously helps massively with that. One question I would like to ask you, I think one of the challenges that we do have with UK rail is we've got so many different, train types on the railways, and actually integrating something like this into so many different systems. How do you overcome that challenge?
So on the day, we had people who had different use cases, and there was one particular guy who was saying, oh, well, how easy is it to put it in a factory, for example?
Yeah.
And to be honest, as long as it's battery operated, it's handheld, as long as there's Wi-Fi connection, then you can put it anywhere. We've been asked to put on trucks, for example. Now there may not be a Wi-Fi enabled there, but we have spoken to the likes of Vodafone and people like that who can
Yeah.
provide SIM card units that can push those data through that, and the cost is really next to nothing, but it will start giving you meaningful data for sure.
I think that's the key, isn't it? It's when you've got so many different systems like that, actually, rather than integrating it, making it more accessible, that surely opens doors for you going forward. Looking at factory settings, we're not just talking about rail industry here. You've got so many sectors to kind of play out from this point of view, haven't you now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, buses, trams, light
Yeah.
rail, you name it, the list goes on. There is another law that's come to our attention called Awab's Law.
Mm.
And again, as another law, it's due to the mold that is in rented properties, for example. And interestingly, that again, what they're looking for is there anything that can measure humidity or certain aspects of the unit that can then trigger the ventilation, for example, to ensure that there isn't a risk of someone having that mold in the house, for example. But again, it's not an area we've explored, but it's an area that we could definitely go for.
And going throughout this process, it's quite challenging. You've got to get network rail approvals and all this different stuff. What advice would you give to other innovators and entrepreneurs looking to introduce new products and services into rail?
That's an interesting
It's a
one.
tough one.
It is a tough one. Okay, I think the main thing is understanding the industry and its challenges. I think the rail sector is highly regulated as well, as I mentioned before. He's
Yeah,
often he's often slow to adopt new technology, but making sure that you understand the key pain points that operators, passengers, stakeholder faces, and tailor the solution to address these challenges more effectively. I think demonstrating the real world value means a lot. I mean, rail companies want a solution that provide a clear, and I mean clear, measurable benefits,
yeah,
whether that's improving efficiency, reducing emissions, cutting costs, or even enhancing passenger experience. I think pilot projects and live demonstration are key to proving your product's value. So
massively.
they're the two main ones, really. To be honest, that can really advise them at the moment. I'm sure there'll be more, and believing in your innovation, and that's key. I mean, I believe this innovation. There is a need. The environment isn't as clean as we think it is, and having these units monitoring I think it will open a lot of people's eyes to understand that what they're breathing in.
I think you're right there. From a sustainability point of view, there is an alertness to it, but then there's also you need that data and information to be able to take action.
Yeah.
So it's having a system like this essentially will become essential going forward, especially when reporting back.
Mm.
There are so many companies now focusing on a net zero point of view. Surely this is changing things from a reporting point of view as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we, as our title goes, we're trying to be part of this sustainability program, and I think it's the only way the business is going to be forward. You're going to think of the design, how it's designed, how sustainable that could be. What can you recycle?
Mm.
We don't want lots of these units that end up in the landfill, but we want to be able to support this for the number of years, and that's one of the other core principles of our business. Is we do overhaul. So when we make a product, we have to try to support them 20, 30 years life of that train. That's another key take where we've been doing this for a number of years. We've got products on the market. We're on trains for 20 years now, and we're still supporting it. And then comes other challenges, things like obsolescence management, and again that needs to be tackled over time. Electronics in particular moves, the technology moves on. What can you imagine what technology looked like 20 years ago compared to
Mm.
today? So, and we have to keep ensure that we're on top of that to ensure that we've got a product that's doing what it needs to do for the foreseeable future.
You mentioned adaptations there, but what is next for you in the immediate future? Now you've gone through this process.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting stage, to be honest, and I think the next step will be about scaling up and driving into real world impact. Now, the key points really, like to sort of what next for Grinsty would be expanding trials and deployments would be the first thing. Now, obviously, we're working with industry partners to deploy this unit in a live rail environment. What we saw on T69 tram, it was on a stationary position. But what we want to really do is have real people coming on and off the train in order to understand what is actually happening not only just on the journey in the journey, but even when they get to the platform, when they're braking, so you can start realizing what you're up against. The other thing is enhancing the technology. Now, innovation never stops. We've got lots of different ideas that we want to add to it. Things like smell is another one. So people vaping, for example. We know that the sensors available, the low power sensors available. But again, that's something we can look at. Noise is another one. But the main one for us at the moment is the next one it's going to be NOx. So that is something that, again, it sort of does a complete for air quality. And I think Network Rail are really pushing for looking at, how can we measure NOx on a life journey. So again, that would be an interesting space to look at. So securing investment for growth, to scale effectively, we're actively, seeking for investment. Now we have opportunity to accelerate the product deployment. We've got, as I mentioned, 16,000 square feet space at the back with automated machines. We're ready to, from a MRL level, I would say, if I would to say what level we're at, I believe we're probably at 7. We're ready to manufacture. However, we really, the next step would be, trying it out on a real world train, so we can actually see what what the air quality is throughout the journey. So I think that would be the next sort of step for us.
Big dreams ahead. That's exciting.
Yeah,
absolutely. Where can people go to find out more?
Oh gosh, where can they go next? Where can they go? I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of. I mean, BCIMO has been absolutely fantastic in terms of sending us information. What's ahead of us and what else is going. I think there's the catapults out there. They're always looking at the next thing. I mean, engaging with them. Universities, for example, is another one. So there's there's a lot of places that you can go to in terms of where you want to go next. But yeah, is that what you meant by go next?
Wow, I was going to ask as well, where can people find out more about Grinsty?
Oh gosh, okay, sure. I mean, okay. So Grinsty Rail, we've been around for, as I say, for many years, and again, I mean, we've been growing quite rapidly in the last few years, and I think we're a UK company. We're proud to be UK manufacturers, and to be honest, not only we do our own products, but we also offer and help other people. So if they've got an idea, and it's just the base of their Blue Sky Think idea, we have a program within Grinsty Rail that we go through what we call the TRL1 Blue Sky Thinking all the way to TRL9, and in that journey, we also then consider how we can upscale the program. So we've gone through many journeys, from TRL1 to 9. And if anyone comes in and say, "Oh, can you do this?" and they don't have the support they need, absolutely, Grinsty Rail, we're based in Redditch, and they're more than welcome to contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help them.
Brilliant. And we'll pop some contact details down in the description as well, so people can get in touch. Thank you, Naim. That's absolutely brilliant. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Thank you, Naim, for coming on and sharing your insight into developing a product such as this, where there is a real need for it in the rail industry, and bringing it into reality. It shows that programs like the Clean Futures Programme is a real conduit from bringing something from a concept to reality using data-based models. and also incorporating that realistic see and feel and touch point of view that people still really look for today beyond the data-driven analysis. Really, really insightful, and we'll look forward to seeing how Grinsty progress in the next few months and years. Thank you, Naim. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Rail Industry Connected. You can view past and future episodes of Rail Industry Connected on YouTube or listen to them on your way into work on Spotify. And of course, you can connect with other rail businesses and the industry on railindustryconnect.co.uk. Thank you, and see you next time.